We have 6.5 weeks until the end of 2025. So many books, so little time, but there are 10 books that I feel like I have to read before the end of the year. So this is my 10 before the end. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Bookmarked by Aaliyah. Welcome if you're new here. There are 10 books that I want to read before the end of the year. I said I wasn't going to make a TBR, but yet I'm talking about 10 before the end. Clearly, that's a TBR. We all know how I do. These are books that I feel like I just have to read. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Only time will tell. But we got 6.5 weeks to figure that out. If you've been here for a while, you know I like to read multiple genres. So I picked like 2 or 3 books like in each of the genres that I personally like to read. And those are the top books in those genres of the physical books that I own, that I know that like I really want to get to those books before the end of the year. And I also have 2 that are kind of out of my comfort zone that I've been eyeing for forever. So I want to read those too. So let's just get into these books. So for romance, I have 2 books. First, I have Landing on Mars by Ashley Howard. I've had this book for a while, and it's just time to get into it. This book follows Nyla and Mars. Mars is actually in a relationship, so this is definitely a cheating trope. Mars is in a relationship, and here and enters Nyla. I don't know how she comes into play. Y'all know I'm not about to read the backs of all of these books because you know I like to go in kind of blind. But in enters Nyla, and Mars is like attracted to her. There's an instant connection between the both of them. I don't know what type of relationship that Mars is in. I honestly don't know. I don't know if he's just in like a relationship like with a girlfriend, or I don't believe he's married. I think this is just like girlfriend boyfriend type stuff. And he meets Nyla. Nyla and him have an instant connection. I don't know the relationship between the 2 women, if it's like some dirty stuff going on or what. I know it's a cheating trope, so I just want to throw that out there. I know a lot of people don't like the cheating trope. I personally don't either. It's just it depends on how it's done. If it's done well, there's no, what do you mean done well? There's no good way to write a cheating trope because cheating is terrible. Y'all know what I'm getting at. Like if it's done in a way that doesn't make me just like roll my eyes and look like the whole time, you know what I mean? It's okay because I've read a few cheating tropes and I really enjoyed them. So we'll see where this takes me, but it's definitely a cheating trope. I want to see where this goes, how Nyla and Mars even meet, and like what the relationship really is. I feel like this book leaves on a cliffhanger, but I'm not sure. But I'll let you know. And then I have Revive Me by Jaye Seegers. This is the second book in the new Haven series. I read Restore Me either last year, the end of last year, beginning of this year. I really can't remember when I read that book, but it's been a minute. And I'm ready to get back into this series. This book actually is this book and the third book kind of go together. I don't know how they go together. I don't know if it's just a continuation, if this one's going to leave me on a cliffhanger that makes me have to buy the third book. I think the characters from the first book are in this book. I'm not sure, but this book follows Chris and Mallory. This is, I believe, a fake dating trope in a way, but I think they already know each other. I'm really not sure, y'all. But this is a fake dating situation. You know how fake dating goes. They fake date until it's not fake anymore. And I love it. J.L. Seegers' books are spicy. If this is anything like Restore Me, it's going to be a spicy read. I was nervous to read Restore Me when I first read that because I heard it was so spicy. And I was like, I really don't want the spice to take over the plot. Like I'm down for spice, I'm down for smut, I'm down for all the nasty things. But when it becomes that every other page is them banging, like I don't really I don't really want to read about that. So I was pleasantly surprised when I read Restore Me that it was balanced out like 50-50. It was very spicy, but I still felt the story. And hopefully this one doesn't take a left turn and it's spicier than it is plot. Like we'll see what happens, but I cannot wait to get into this one. So for literary fiction, I have These Heathens by Mia McKinzie. This is a newer purchase for me. I had been seeing it everywhere. It's been highly recommended everywhere. So I picked it up not too long ago. It's a coming of age story. The female main character is pregnant and she's seeking to get an abortion in the 1960s in Georgia, a small town. She goes to Atlanta, I'm assuming, to have this procedure over the weekend. And while she's there, I think she's going to like learn about herself. She's going to learn about her history. She's going to learn about like so many things. Like I said, it's a coming of age story. There's some figures of history in here. So I'm not sure if this is considered historical fiction or if it's still more like literary fiction. I'm really not sure. Once I read it, I could probably figure it out. But to me, it feels like it's going to put you like on the same level as like Harlem Rhapsody that I didn't even finish, but I'm assuming it's going to give me that type of vibe. So we'll see. I hear it's funny. I hear that it is a really good read. It's really short, and I can't wait to get into this one. Then I have Hold My Girl by Charlene Carr. In the inside, the little like phrase that's at the top says, 2 women, 2 eggs, 1 life-changing switch. So you have an IVF clinic and 2 women have been patients there. One of the women in this story has a 1 or 2 year old daughter, and the other woman is still trying to, she's hitting rock bottom. The IVF is not working for her. And one day they get a phone call that basically says that their eggs were switched. That's all I know. That's all I want to know because I want to dive into this. And how do you navigate something like that? If you're sitting, think about your kids, if you have kids. You got a kid right here, you get a phone call that says, hey, yeah, did you notice how your baby's kind of real pale and you're dark? And yeah, that's not your kid. We switched the eggs, my bad. I can't wait. I hear this is a good one. I don't know if it's going to be sad. I don't know what kind of feels it's going to put me in, but I cannot wait to get to this one. Then, of course, I had to get my girl in here, Kristin Hannah, Night Road. This is going to be a buddy read that I'm actually starting. I probably should get to it. We're actually starting this one this weekend. So I'll probably be reading this book when you see this video, but we're starting this one pretty soon. So this is a definite read. Out of these 10, this is one that I know I'm going to be reading because it's a buddy read. It's been a minute since we've read a Kristin Hannah book. We've been reading all other kind of books, and I cannot wait to start reading this one with my girls. I'm actually going to read the back of this because I have no idea what this book is about, y'all. And I know I like to go on my books blind, but I like to have like some type of idea what the book is about, but without all the extra details. So I'm gonna read the back of this for y'all because I honestly want to know myself. Life comes down to a series of choices: to hold on, to let go, to forget, to forgive. Which road will you take? Life is good on a quiet, affluent Pine Island for the picture-perfect Faraday family. Jude Faraday is a devoted stay-at-home mother, works tirelessly to be the best possible parent to her teenage twins, Mia and Zach. When Lexi Bell, a former foster child with a dark past, moves into their close-knit progressive community, no one is more welcoming than Jude. Lexi quickly becomes Mia's best friend. Then Zach falls in love with Lexi, and the 3 become inseparable, upsetting the fragile status quo of the Faraday family. Until the kids' senior year of high school tests every bond and pushes Jude to the brink. It's a dangerous, explosive season of drinking, driving, parties, kids who want to let loose, and parents who don't know how to hold on. This is the power keg of a summer. All it takes is one careless mistake, one terrible decision to ruin everything and pit friend against friend and neighbor against neighbor. In the years that follow, each must face the harrowing consequences of that single night and find a way to forget or the courage to forgive. I didn't know this was a summer book. This doesn't look like it should be a summer read, but I'm here for it. It just looks wintry, does it not? Like, I don't know, those mountains. I don't know. When I see mountains and like the trees, I mean, I don't know. It just looked like it was a winter book, but clearly it's a summer book. But who cares? Whatever. We're reading this one. Then I have the Manual for Good Wives. This is actually going to be a buddy read with Kayla. I have no idea when we're going to read this book. We said this month, but I don't know. I think we got too much going on. But you let me know. I'm down. I'm still down to read this book whenever. You just let me know. But this Manual for Good Wives by Lola Jaye. This is actually going to be a dual timeline read. I'm really not sure of the years, but I know in one aspect we have Adeline, whose mother writes like a column on like how to be a lady, on Victorian propriety. Basically just how to be a lady, how to be better wives, how to prepare for marriage, things like that. But Adeline doesn't like want that life. She's not good at any of those type of like lady things. And I don't know where that story is going to go. Then you're in the present time. Now a Black woman born in Africa who dared to pretend to be something she was not is on trial in the English courts with all of London society baying for her blood. And she's ready to tell her story. I have no clue how those 2 stories are going to be connected, but I'm down. Like, that's what makes this book so intriguing to me, because past chapters are going to be, like society and being a lady, and then you have somebody on court for being something that she's not. What does that even mean? So I have no idea how these two stories are going to tie together, but this is a highly anticipated read. As soon as I finished The Attic Child, I was ready to buy this book, and then I bought it. So I'm definitely ready to get into this. So for thrillers, y'all, I've been trying to read this book for a year. Y'all love him. Y'all love him so much, and I want to love him too. I really do. And I've only read Razorblade Tears. When Razorblade Tears was everywhere, everybody loved it. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. I just didn't feel that way, y'all. I'm sorry. I love y'all so much, but I did not. I didn't feel that way. I didn't hate that book at all. It was a really good book. It was really suspenseful. I remember everything about it. I remember Buddy Lee being hilarious. Like I liked the book. I really did, but I didn't love it. And I think because I didn't love it, it's not making me like, oh, I got to get his next one. You know what I'm saying? Maybe this will turn it around for me with this one and Razorblade Tears. I feel like everybody's ratings are like opposite. If they love this book, they thought Razorblade Tears was just okay. If they loved Razorblade Tears, they thought this one was okay. So I don't know. I'm just ready to get this book on the red shelf and not on the TBR shelf. I'm reluctant. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to read this book, but I'm going to read the book because I need to know if I really like this author or not. You know what I mean? Like, and it's peer pressure and it's FOMO. It's like, what are y'all seeing that I'm not seeing? But I read one book, y'all have read 5. So maybe it's going to take a couple of different books. Every author is like that. If an author has multiple books, we all kind of mix and match. We all have our favorite Kennedy Ryan book. We all have our favorite Kristen Hanna book. We all have our favorite Megan Quinn book or whoever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm just ready. I'm just, honestly, this is really like a just get it over with type of read. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I'm dying to read this book, because I'm not. I really don't want to, but we are. Then I have Alice Feeney, Beautiful Ugly. Before this book released, I was like, I cannot wait till this book comes out. I love Alice Feeney. I've read a ton of her books, tons. Well, that was exaggeration. I think I read like 4, but I've read enough of her books that I know I love Alice Feeney and I love her writing. So I was ready to get this book, got the book, and this book been sitting here. So I'm just ready to read this book. Honestly, I don't want to read the inside of this. I'm just tell you a little bit of what I do know. All I know is that it's a married couple. I believe that the guy is an author and he's on the phone with his wife. She's driving somewhere and he's telling her like the good news or something happened with one of his books or whatever. And I guess she sees something while she's driving. She gets out of the car to see what's going on and he never hears from her again. So I don't know if it's his agent or somebody's like, you need to get away. You need to write your next book or whatever the situation is. You need to go. So he goes to, I believe it's Scotland, to kind of like get in his zone, write a book. And while he's there, he sees a woman and it looks like his wife. That's all I know. That's all I'm trying to know. And I need to get into this book. There's no rhyme or reason as to why I haven't picked this book up. I know it was a while that I was like just not feeling thrillers. I believe she actually has another book coming out in January. I feel like all of her books come out like in the wintertime. I don't know that it's January per se, but I feel like all her books come out in the wintertime. And I believe I don't know what that's called. Something about a husband. I can't remember, but I know I want to pick that book up and I cannot have this book on my shelf when I get that book. So for the 2 books that I feel like are out of my comfort zone, I really don't read a lot of fantasy. If you've been here for a while, you clearly know that. I've read like a handful, and the handful that I've actually read have been good. Like I honestly have loved Addie LaRue. I liked Monsters We Defy. I really liked Fourth Wing. I liked Legendborn. Like I really like them, but it takes a lot. I have to know the type of book that it is before I even say I want to read it. I like more of the magical realism and the magical aspects more than I do a dragon or a vampire. Like that just does not appeal to me right now. I've learned that those are the type of I like that type of fantasy. I don't think I like magic. So this one was on my TBR for October. I did not get to it, but I want to get to it. Mainly because I just really just want to hold this book because it has the deco edges. Like I love that in a book. Like it's just so pretty. It just looks old. It makes me feel like, oh, I'm reading a book from the 1800s. I don't know. It's weird. Whatever. So this one it's like a magical realism historical fantasy. I think I never know when I talk about this book. I have no idea. I keep trying not to read the back of the book, but I'm going to do it just because I kind of want to refresh my memory right now. Maybe it'll motivate me to pick this up sooner than later. This is also the same author that wrote Monsters We Defy, and I enjoyed that book. Our home began, as all things do, with a wish. Jane Edwards hasn't spoken since she was 11 years old, when armed riders expelled her family and every other Black resident from their hometown. Now, 12 years later, she's found a haven in the all Black town of Awanasa. But the construction of a dam threatens to wash their home under the waters of the new lake. Jane will do anything to save the community that sheltered her. So when a man with uncanny abilities arrives in town asking strange questions, she wonders if he might be the key. But as the stranger hints at gods and ancestral magic, Jane realizes she knows this man. Only the last time she saw him, he was dead. Who is this stranger, and what is he really doing in Awanasa? Answering these questions will take Jane into a sunken world of capricious gods and unsung myths, of salvation and dreams made real. But the flood waters are rising. In order to save her community, Jane will have to find her voice again and finally face the trauma of the past. Out of my comfort zone. But I feel like it's one of those that I'm gonna go in like, let me read this book. And then I'm gonna be like, y'all, this was so good. Like, I feel like that. We'll find out. Then I have Delicious Monsters by Liselle Sambury. I'll read the back of this one too because I don't remember. I bought this book a long time ago. When I read the synopsis, her reviews on it, it just appealed to me. Like I said, some fantasy will be like, that seems like one I could get into. So this was one of those. And so I got it. Like, it just seems so different for something that from the things that I usually read. And I don't know. Sometimes you need something a little bit different to break up your normal stuff. I do a pretty good job of like mixing genres with my books, but even with those, I want something different every now and then. So this is this one. So I'll read the inside of this one. Daisy sees dead people, something impossible to forget in a bustling, ghost-packed Toronto. She usually manages to deal with her unwanted ability, but she's completely unprepared to be dumped by her boyfriend. So when her mother inherits a secluded mansion in northern Ontario, where she spent her childhood summers, Daisy jumps at the chance to escape. But the house is nothing like Daisy expects, and she's beginning to realize her experience with the supernatural might be no match for her mother's secrets, nor what lurks within these walls. A decade later, Brittany is desperate to get out from under the thumb of her abusive mother, a best-selling author who claims her stay at Miracle Mansion allowed her to see the error of her ways. But Brittany knows that's nothing but a sham. She decides the new season of her popular haunted web series will uncover what happened to a young Black girl in the mansion 10 years prior and finally expose her mother's lies. But as she gets more wrapped up in the investigation, she'll have to decide if she can only bring one story to light, which matters most, Daisy's or her own. As Brittany investigates the mansion in the present, Daisy's story runs parallel in the past, both timelines propelling the girls to face the most dangerous monsters of all, those that hide in plain sight. So I'm assuming that this is two different timelines, two different girls in the same house with the same ghosts and their experiences in all of that. It sounds good. And I want to read this one. That was my 10 before the end, but I do have an honorable mention because last year I enjoyed it so much. Megan Quinn's new Christmas book. Last year I read How My Neighbor Stole Christmas, and now it's the sequel to that book, Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animal. Max, this is a story following Max. I don't know who the love interest is, honestly, and I don't own the book yet, but I'm definitely about to pick this book up because I know that I want to jump off December, the month of Christmas, with a Christmas read. I am not doing a ton of Christmas reads this year, but this is one that I know I'm going to enjoy. I know I'm going to laugh. I know I'm going to enjoy it the same way I did How My Neighbor Stole Christmas. It is a goofy read. It is a ridiculous read. Most people will hate the book, but I am goofy and I want to read the sequel to this. This follows Max. Like I said, I don't know who his love interest is. And Max was actually introduced in the first book and he was hilarious in that. So I can't wait. And I really hope the characters from the first book make an appearance in this book because I love them and I miss them. And I cannot wait to laugh for the Christmas season. So this is my 10 before the end. I have a good mix of genres in here. So hopefully I can get as many of these read before the end of the year. Of course, there are going to be other books that are going to call my name. There's going to be other books that I'm going to want to read that weren't part of this video, but y'all know I go with the mood. So it is what it is. But like I said, I got a good mix of genres here that I think I should be okay. And I should get at least 6 or 7 of them read before the end of the year. So y'all will call me out if I don't. So I'll just be waiting on that. So if you made it to the end of this video, as always, thank you for hanging out with me, listening to me ramble about my 10 before the end. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. Make sure you hype this video too. All of these books are listed below. They're also in my Amazon storefront. And I will see y'all next Sunday.